I want to continue with Dr. Geri. Back in May, you were standing amid a crowd in Germany's capital. Those were South Azerbaijani activists who organized that mass rally and tried to be vocal about the human rights situation in Iran. What was your experience about that? Because if I'm not mistaken, you did cover that rally, and do you think such events could be helpful in terms of spreading the message about Iranian Azerbaijanis? Thank you.
Okay, good evening. First of all, let me thank the organizers, some of them are here, of this Kermesse, which is amazing, with thousands of panels, and maybe next year will be even more, but we'll see. So, this is my sabbatical year, as they say, the academics, and I went sometimes to Azerbaijan country to work on different projects on energy, etc. And I realized when I was in Azerbaijan that 10 million Azerbaijani living in the Azerbaijani state, and around 20 or 30 million Azerbaijani live in Iran. So not many people knows about this, neither in Italy, neither in Europe. So when this came to my mind and the demonstration came in Berlin, I decided to go and see and understand the repression of this minority. Because during my PhD, let's remember, maybe you didn't introduce, but I studied in the US the treatment of ethnic minorities in democratizing Muslim countries. And I realized in my studies that what distinguishes a democracy from an autocracy is not so much the elections, is not so much the separation of power, but is the inclusion of all parts of societies. As the professor said here, the nation-state foundation of Iran was clearly an exclusive system that created what we have today, an Ayatollah regime that is a middle-age theocracy, but is also a country that makes repression of a gigantic part of its population, not only at cultural level with the rights that they don't have to speak their own language, etc., but even to express their freedom when dramatic events happen. For example, not only Amina, but I heard about the Kordad, you know, this caricature, this racist caricature in 2006 that created hundreds of people dead in the Azerbaijani region of Iran, thousands of people arrested, etc., etc., etc. So all this knowledge, I wanted to bring it to the EU bubble, because I live in Brussels, and the EU bubble doesn't know much about Iran domestic issues. Why? Because, first of all, dictatorships are not very transparent. So we know mostly about the international role of Iran. The fact that Iran is now in Shanghai Cooperation Organization this year, in BRICS, is increasingly bringing weapons to Russia. And so European Union decided to increase the numbers of sanctions, because it's the economic stupid, right? It's the economic forum here. Sanctions work. Let's say that they are not direct, they are not immediate, but they work, as we see in Russia. But they work when they are strong. And right now, European Union is a little bit shy on the sanctions on Iran. We will talk maybe later more about that with the questions. But let me tell you something. I come from Italy, and in Italy we have 5 autonomous regions with more than 10 languages respected by the Constitution. So how come Italy was one of the biggest trade partner of Iran? Mogherini was the first that said, let's do the JCPOA to reinforce economically a dictatorship. And we don't realize how much we have of this human rights violation in the past. Nowadays, more, because after the Amini protest and the killing of the people, our country, our president was very much vocal against these human rights. But I wanted to bring also to my country, not only to you, Bubble, the knowledge of this, because it's not known. And then, when you support economically a dictatorship that destroys part of its population, you will have your consequences in the long term. Not only as a legitimacy as a legitimate, and moral actions that you are doing, but also economically again. So I wanted to understand more, and I brought this article to EUReporter. They decided to publish, and I also brought another one on the lack of a coherent foreign policy of European Union, because the problem here is that national interests of countries are one against the other, and often France is going against the European Union interest, including on this situation now. So I hope that my humble contribution can open a little bit the mind of this bubble in the EU, Brussels, and also of my country, of which some representatives are also here.
Thank you, Dr. Geri. I actually wanted to ask you about the knowledge of this topic in the European political circles, because you are coming from another capital, European capital. You already covered. I wanted to ask what can and should be done to address this issue more at European level. Do you have anything to add, or?
Yeah, well, yes.
Just 2 minutes, sorry.
Yeah. For example, the fact that these sanctions, I don't know if you know about that, but they are just based on travel bans, so some Iranians, they cannot travel. Frozen assets, few frozen assets. The exportation of equipments used for repression or monitoring is blocked. But these are peanuts. These are really peanuts. This is nothing. While European Union has a big power. European Union last year made an unprecedented decoupling from Russia. We have 60% less imports from Russia, non-energy related. Energy more. So if European Union wants, they can do similar things with Iran, which is a country that is waging war not in another country, apart the proxy wars, but inside their country, its country, against its people. This is a question of morality, but as I said, also of economy. Iran is becoming a global threat. Is a terrorist sponsoring state, is a global threat because it's supporting Russia, but is also increasingly, as I said, in this new BRICS and Shanghai Cooperation Organization, this new alliance against democracies and against the West. So it's time for the EU to wake up and make real sanctions, not these just small things. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Geri.